Hi, and welcome to Ginger English. I'm Sarah, and today we have a two-level podcast for you. Okay, I need to ask you something before we start. Have you ever trusted someone, really trusted them, and then found out that trust was a mistake? Because that is exactly what happened to Karen. And when I say her life fell apart, I mean everything fell apart. Fast. Karen is 38 years old. She lives in Atlanta, Georgia. She works as a nurse. She wakes up early every day. She helps sick people. She is kind and quiet and very responsible. She is the kind of person who always pays her bills on time. She never misses work. She saves her money carefully. People at the hospital love her. Her patients love her. She is just good. You know that kind of person? The person who never causes problems, never asks for too much, just does her job and goes home. That is Karen. She has a small apartment. She has a cat named Biscuit. She has a few good friends. Her life is not exciting, but it is hers, and she likes it, or she liked it, before the phone call. It was a Tuesday morning in March. Karen was eating breakfast, eggs and coffee like always, when her phone rang. She did not know the number. She almost did not answer, but she did. And the man on the other end said 4 words that changed her life completely. 4 words. Are you ready? He said, "You have won." She laughed. She actually laughed out loud. She thought it was a joke. Some kind of scam, right? We all get those calls. We all ignore them. But something made her stay on the line. Something made her listen. And what she heard next? Well, let me tell you, because this story is not just about money. It is about people. The people we love. The people we think we know. And the moment we realize, maybe we never knew them at all. Stay with me. This one is going to surprise you. Karen grew up in a small town in Alabama. Her mom worked 2 jobs. Her dad left when Karen was 7. So Karen learned early, you work hard, you take care of yourself, you do not wait for someone to save you. She put herself through nursing school. She studied at night after long shifts at a grocery store. It took her 6 years. 6 years of tired mornings and cheap dinners and saying no to things she wanted because she could not afford them, but she did it. She got her degree, she got her job at Piedmont Hospital in Atlanta. And she was proud, really proud. She did not have a lot of money. Nurses work very hard, but they do not always earn very much. But she had enough. Enough for her apartment, enough for Biscuit, enough for a vacation once a year. Simple, quiet, hers. She had 3 close friends, Lisa, her coworker and best friend for 12 years, her brother Danny, funny, a little irresponsible, always between jobs but always there when she needed him, and her boyfriend Marcus. They had been together for 2 years. He was a teacher, calm, smart, patient. Karen thought he was the one. These 3 people, Lisa, Danny, Marcus, she trusted all of them completely, with everything. With her keys, her stories, her heart. Big mistake. But she did not know that yet. So, the phone call. Let me tell you exactly what happened. Karen almost hung up. She really did. But the man on the phone, his name was Robert. He worked for the Georgia Lottery. He was very calm, very professional. He said, "Miss Karen Ellis?" "Yes," she said. He said, "You bought a lottery ticket on February 28th at a gas station on Peachtree Street." She stopped. She remembered that ticket. It was a Tuesday afternoon. She was tired after a long shift. She stopped for gas. She saw the lottery tickets near the cash register. She never bought lottery tickets. Never. But that day, she does not know why, she bought one. Just one. $2. She put it in her purse and forgot about it completely. Robert said that ticket won $2 million. $2 million. Karen sat down on the floor, not on a chair, on the floor, right there in her kitchen. Biscuit came and looked at her like, "What are you doing down here?" And Karen just sat there. She could not speak. She could not move. She just sat on the cold kitchen floor with her phone in her hand and her cat looking at her and $2 million in her future. Robert told her what to do next. She had to come to the lottery office in person. She had to bring her ID. She had to bring the ticket. The ticket. Karen ran to her purse. She emptied everything on the table. Receipts, lip balm, coins, old gum, her work badge, and there it was. A small white ticket with blue numbers. She held it with both hands. She was shaking. She took a photo of it. Then she put it in her wallet. Then she called Lisa. Lisa screamed so loud that Karen had to move the phone away from her ear. Then she called Danny. Danny said, "No way, no way, no way," about 15 times. Then she called Marcus. Marcus was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Karen, baby, this is real?" And she said, "I think so. I think this is real." That night, the four of them sat in Karen's small apartment and ate pizza and talked and laughed and cried a little. It was one of the best nights of her life. She looked at these three people, her best friend, her brother, her boyfriend, and she felt so lucky. Not because of the money, because of them. Because she had people to share this moment with. That feeling, that warm, happy, safe feeling, it did not last long. A few weeks later, the money arrived. $1,400,000 after taxes. Can you imagine? Karen sat at her kitchen table and looked at the number on her screen for a long time. Then she closed the laptop, then she opened it again. Still there. She called her mom in Alabama, and they both cried. Karen said, "Mom, you never have to work again." Her mom said, "Baby, I am 63. I was not going to work much longer anyway." And they laughed. Karen took 1 week off work just to think. She did not want a fancy car or a huge house. She just wanted a better life, a calmer life. So she made a plan. Careful, responsible. Because that is who Karen is. Or at least, that is who she was trying to be. Karen made a list. She actually sat down with a pen and paper, old school, right? And she wrote everything down. Number 1, buy a house. Not a big house, a nice normal house with a yard for Biscuit. Number 2, pay off her student loans. She still had some left from nursing school. Number 3, put money in savings. A lot of money. So she never had to worry again. Number 4, help her mom. Number 5, take a real vacation. Not just a few days in Florida, a real one. Maybe Europe, maybe somewhere she had never been. That was her list. 5 things, simple, smart. And for the first 2 months, everything went exactly as planned. She found a house in a quiet neighborhood in Decatur, just outside Atlanta. 3 bedrooms, a small backyard, big windows. She loved it immediately. She paid cash, no mortgage, no bank, just hers. She quit her job at the hospital, not forever. She thought she would go back someday, but she needed time. Time to breathe, time to think, time to just be. For the first time in her life, Karen did not have to be anywhere at 8 in the morning. She could make coffee slowly, she could read, she could take Biscuit outside and sit in the backyard and listen to the birds. It sounds small, but for Karen, a woman who had worked hard every single day since she was 17 years old, it was everything. Lisa visited every weekend. They cooked together, watched movies, talked for hours. Danny came by a few times and Karen gave him some money. Not a lot, just enough to pay his rent and get back on his feet. Marcus took 2 days off work and they went to Savannah for a long weekend. It was romantic and slow and perfect. Karen thought, this is it. This is the life I always wanted. She checked her bank account one morning. Just a normal Tuesday, coffee in hand, sunshine in the kitchen, and she stopped. She looked at the number. Then she looked again. Something was wrong. The number was smaller than it should be. Not a little smaller, a lot smaller. She sat very still. She went back through the last few weeks. She looked at every transaction, and there it was. Small payments going out, $50 here, $80 there, $120, $200. Then she found a bigger one, $500, then another, $800, all going to the same place, an account she did not recognize. Her hands were cold. Her heart was beating fast. She had not made these payments. She had not clicked anything. She had not signed anything. Someone had access to her account, someone she trusted, someone with her password, and there were only 3 people in the world who knew her passwords. 3 people: Lisa, Danny, Marcus. Karen put down her coffee. She did not drink it. She just sat there in her beautiful new kitchen, in her beautiful new house, and stared at the screen. And for the first time since that phone call in March, she did not feel lucky at all. Okay, so Karen found the strange payments, and she did what most of us would do first. She told herself it was a mistake, a bank error, something technical, because that is easier, right? That is much easier than thinking, someone I love is stealing from me. She called the bank. She was on hold for 22 minutes. She counted. The woman at the bank was polite but not very helpful. She said, "These transactions were approved with your login and your password." Karen said, "But I did not make them." The woman said, "I understand, but they came from a device connected to your account." Karen asked, "What device?" The woman gave her a number. A device ID. Karen wrote it down. She did not know what it meant, but she wrote it down. She hung up and sat with that piece of paper for a long time. Then she opened her laptop and changed all her passwords. Everything: her bank, her email, her phone account, new passwords, long ones, ones that nobody knew. And then she waited. For 1 week, nothing. No strange transactions. Karen started to breathe again. Maybe it was some kind of hacking from outside, not someone she knew, not someone she loved. She wanted so much to believe that. But then she had dinner with Lisa. It was a Friday night. They ordered Thai food and opened a bottle of wine. Lisa asked, "How is everything?" And Karen said, "Actually, something strange happened with my bank account." Lisa put down her glass. She looked at Karen very carefully, and she said, "What kind of strange?" Karen watched her face, every small movement. Lisa did not look guilty. She looked worried, genuinely worried. She asked helpful questions, and by the end of the night, Karen felt sure it was not Lisa. So, not Lisa. That left 2 people: Danny, or Marcus, her brother, or her boyfriend. Karen drove home and sat in the car in her driveway for a long time. The lights were off. Biscuit was probably sitting by the door, waiting, and Karen just sat in the dark and thought. Her brother who never had money, her boyfriend who she thought was the one. Which one? She did not want it to be either of them, but it had to be one of them. The next morning, Karen called the bank again. Fraud department this time. A man named Thomas. He was better. He listened. He told her something important. The device that made these transactions was a phone, an Android phone. Karen stopped. Marcus had an iPhone. He always had an iPhone. He loved Apple products. He would never use an Android. But Danny had a cheap Android phone, an old one with a cracked screen. She had offered to buy him a new one, and he said no. She sat with that information for a long time. A phone. An Android phone. Danny. She felt sick. Really, truly sick. Because Danny was not just her brother. Danny was the person who drove 3 hours to help her move in college. Danny was the person who sat with her in the hospital when their mom had surgery. Danny was the person who made her laugh when nothing was funny. And now she was thinking, did he steal from me? Karen did not call Danny right away. She could not. She picked up her phone 10 times and put it down 10 times. What do you even say? Hey, did you steal from me? Hey, I think you took my money. She could not find the words. So instead, she drove to Danny's apartment. She did not tell him she was coming. She just got in the car and drove. Danny lived about 20 minutes away near the highway. She had been there many times. She sat in the parking lot for a few minutes, then she went up and knocked. Danny opened the door in a t-shirt and sweatpants, coffee in his hand. He looked surprised, but happy. He always looked happy to see her. Come in, he said. You want coffee? She stepped inside. The apartment looked the same as always. Small, a little messy, an old couch, a big TV. And then she saw something. On the kitchen table, a new laptop, a nice one. Silver, thin, expensive. Karen stopped. She looked at it. Danny followed her eyes, and something changed in his face. Just for 1 second. Something very small. But Karen saw it. She is a nurse. She watches people for a living. She notices things. She said, nice laptop? Danny said, yeah, I got a good deal on it. Karen said, where? He said, online. She said, how much? He paused, just half a second. Then he said, not much, maybe 300. Karen nodded and said nothing else. They drank coffee. They talked about their mom. They watched a little TV. All completely normal. Except it was not normal at all. Because the whole time Karen was thinking, that laptop costs at least $1,200. I looked at the same one last month. 300? He said 300. And she knew. She did not have proof yet, but she knew. She drove home and cried in the car, not just because she was angry, mostly because she was sad. So sad. Because this was Danny. Her Danny. And if it was true, nothing would ever be the same. That night, Karen could not sleep. She lay in bed and stared at the ceiling. Biscuit came and sat on her chest. He always did that when she was upset. She put her hand on him and just breathed. She thought about everything. All the times Danny said he was broke. All the times she helped him. She gave him rent money. She bought him groceries. She drove him to job interviews. She believed in him when nobody else did. And this is what she got? She thought about calling Marcus, but then she stopped. She had changed all her passwords a week ago. Danny has an Android phone that matched the bank information, but Marcus had her email password. She gave it to him 6 months ago, and from her email, you can reset a bank password. You can get into almost anything. She sat up in bed. Biscuit fell off her chest and gave her a very unhappy look. Karen did not notice. She was already reaching for her laptop because now she was not sure anymore. Danny or Marcus or... And this thought made her stomach hurt. Both of them? Karen spent 3 days doing research. She did not sleep much. She drank a lot of coffee. She wrote things down in a notebook. Dates, amounts, times. She went through every transaction again. She looked at the exact times the payments were made. Most of them were between 9 and 11 in the morning. At 9 in the morning, where was Marcus? At school. He was always at school by 8. He could not make payments at 9:15 on a Tuesday. But Danny had no job. Danny was home in the mornings. Danny was free at 9:15 on a Tuesday. Karen circled the times in her notebook. She felt terrible doing it, like she was building a case against her own brother. Because she was. She called Thomas at the fraud department again. He could not give her everything, but he told her one more thing. The payments were made from a location near the highway. Danny lived near the highway. Marcus lived in Midtown, miles away. Karen closed her notebook. She had no official proof, but in her heart, she was 90% sure. It was Danny. Her little brother, Danny, who she loved more than almost anyone. She picked up her phone. She called him. He answered on the second ring. "Hey, sis, what's up?" His voice was warm, normal, happy to hear from her, like always. And Karen took a breath and said, "Danny, I need to talk to you about something, and I need you to be honest with me." There was a pause, longer than a normal pause. Then he said, "Okay, just okay, not what is it? Not, of course, anything, just okay." And in that one word, Karen heard everything. She heard guilt. She heard fear. She heard someone who already knew what was coming. She said, "Money has been taken from my bank account. Payments I did not make. From a device near your apartment. From an Android phone." Very long silence. Karen waited. She did not say anything. She just waited. And then Danny said, very quietly, "Karen, I am so sorry." Karen felt the ground fall out from under her. She sat there with the phone against her ear, and the silence between them felt huge, like a wall that had never been there before and now would always be there. She said, "How much?" He said, "Maybe 4,000, maybe a little more." Karen closed her eyes. $4,000. She almost laughed. Not because it was funny, because 4,000 was nothing now. She had over $1 million in the bank. But it was not about the money. It was never about the money. She said, "Danny, why? Why did you not just ask me? You know I would have helped you." And Danny said, and his voice broke, I know you would have. That is exactly why I did not ask. I was ashamed. I did not want you to see how bad things were. I thought I would borrow it and put it back before you noticed." Karen opened her eyes. Borrow it. He said borrow, like he had taken a cup of sugar. And Karen felt something shift inside her, sadness and anger together at the same time. Karen did not hang up. She stayed on the phone. She let Danny talk, and Danny talked for a long time. He told her everything. He had lost his job 4 months ago, not between jobs like he always said, actually fired. He did not tell her because he was embarrassed. He had debt, credit cards, money he owed a friend, old bills he had ignored. When Karen won the lottery, he thought just a little, just enough to get through. He would pay it back. He really believed that. Karen listened to all of it. She did not interrupt. She did not cry. She just listened. And when he finished, she said, "Danny, I love you. But what you did was wrong. It was not borrowing. You did not ask me. You did not tell me. You just took it. And that is stealing." He was quiet. Then he said, "I know. I am so sorry, Karen. I am so sorry." She said, "I need some time. Do not call me. I will call you when I am ready." And she hung up. She sat in her living room for a very long time. Biscuit came and sat next to her. Not on her, just next to her. Like he understood this was a sit next to moment. Karen looked at the wall. She thought about her dad leaving when she was 7. She thought about all the years she and Danny only had each other and their mom. She thought about his face at the lottery pizza night, how happy he looked, how proud of her he was. And she thought, at what point did that happiness turn into something else? At what point did he look at her money and think, I could just take a little? That question hurt more than anything. More than the money, more than the lie. She called Lisa that night. Lisa came over immediately with wine and food. When Karen told her everything, Lisa just held her hand and said, "What do you need?" Karen said, I need to decide what to do about my brother. Here is what Karen decided. She did not go to the police. She thought about it, but in the end, she could not do it. She could not make Danny a criminal on paper. She did not forgive him, not yet. Forgiveness was going to take a long time, but she did not destroy him either. She called him back 3 days later. She told him she would not go to the police. But there were conditions. He had to pay her back, every dollar, even if it took years. He had to get help, a therapist, someone. He had to be completely honest with her from now on. No more. I am fine when he was not fine. Danny agreed to everything. He was crying so hard she could barely understand him. She said, "Danny, trust takes a long time to build and one moment to break. We are going to have to build it again from zero. That is going to be hard." He said, "I know, I will do it. I promise." And Karen said, "I hope so. I really hope so." So, that is Karen's story. And I want to take a moment before we finish, because I think this story is about more than just money. It is about what happens to people when everything changes. Fast. Because Karen did not change. She was the same person after the lottery as before. The same careful, responsible, kind person. But the people around her, or at least one of them, that is where things got complicated. You know, there is something that people say in America. They say, money does not change you. It just shows who you really are. I used to think that was just a nice thing to say, but Karen's story makes me think it is actually true. Danny was always struggling. He was always a little lost, a little behind, a little ashamed of his situation. And when the money appeared, when there was suddenly so much of it, right there, so close, something in him made a bad choice. Not because he was a bad person, but because he was a scared one. And here is the thing. Karen knew that. She understood it. And that is exactly why she did not go to the police. She chose her brother over her anger. That is not a small thing. That is actually a very big thing. I think about Karen sometimes and I wonder, what would I do? If I found out someone I loved had stolen from me, someone who knew me, who I trusted completely, I think it would break something in me. And I think it did break something in Karen too. Not everything, not the love, but something. Something that was clean before and now has a crack in it. And maybe that crack never fully goes away. Maybe you just learn to live with it. Karen is doing okay now, by the way. She went back to nursing part-time. She said she missed her patients. She missed feeling useful. She talks to Danny again. It is different. More careful, more quiet, but they are talking. Marcus is still in her life. He listened to everything and did not judge. He just said, "I am here." And sometimes that is all you need. Lisa is still her best friend. Some things do not change. And Biscuit is perfect as always. Cats do not care about money. Cats do not steal from you. Maybe that is why we love them. So, that is our podcast for today. If this story made you feel something, if it made you think about trust or money, or the people in your life, I would love to know. Leave a comment below. Tell me what you think. Would you have done what Karen did? Would you have called the police? There is no wrong answer. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to Ginger English. It really helps us grow. Give us a like, share this with a friend, and we will see you in the next one. Take care of yourselves, and maybe call someone you love today, just to say hi. You never know what they might be going through.